Hey, what's good, people? There's a camera right there. This is episode 104. Got this guy in the house, Greg Faulkner. And people, the episode starts right now. Guess who's back? Back again. Greg Faulkner. He's clean shaven. Guess who's back? That man's black. This hat's whack. No, that's not a fact. Greg, what's up, man? Episode 104.
Not much. Happy to be here.
Yeah, man. I really, really appreciate it, man. I close to your neck of the woods, dude. Shootout. There was a shootout.
Yeah.
Someone just told me, in fact, I want to see if I could look it up while we're talking about it or whatever. There was a guy who had a gun and a knife, and that was stabbing people and like shooting people. And then I understand it was like GTA 4 stars. Like SWAT was, they had the armor, they had the truck.
Oh, jeez.
And they said the Redondo police already shot him first. But I want to see if I could find something on that shootout at Redondo. Yeah, Redondo.
This is news to me.
Yes.
And, for my girls, we got a game at Redondo Union today. So I ain't even heard about that. But
actually, here it is. Let me see if I could do this. 2 people were injured. Actually, let me scroll up so you can see it. 2 people were injured. Oh, bugger off. What the hell? Go back. Daily Bulletin. 2 people were injured in the shooting at Redondo Beach. They want me to subscribe. All right, that's not gonna happen. Nope. All right. Let's just do that. Anyway, it was some crazy stuff. There was like police armor. The police had I think something that looked like M16A2 rifles, like the ripple barrel and stuff like that, and man, they got out there too late, and I'm like, too bad for those guys, because I know those guys like eat that stuff. Damn, we did all this training, right?
Yeah.
We ain't get to shoot nobody. So, Greg, let's talk. Let's get within our wheelhouse a little bit. Let's talk about the Olympics. Let's talk about the Olympics. I know you spent a little bit of time on the U.S. national team, right?
I wouldn't claim that I did spend on the actual team, but I did spend time in the gym training with those guys. Yeah. Basically, whenever they had guys that were playing overseas, and they needed bodies, they needed middles. Obviously, I had stopped playing, so I had been coaching a ton, so I was always in the area. And whenever, my mornings had opened up, the coaches would be like, hey, are you going to be available to come down and train with us, from this time block? And most of the time I'm like, yeah, I'm down. So why not?
Nice.
And so it's been nice being able to be in that gym.
Yeah. When does your season start for coaching? For
coaching. So right now I coach high school at Harvard-Westlake for the girls varsity team. And so we are already in season right now. We started back in, we had the very last week of July. We had tryouts, and then we started rolling. We had the Lakewood tournament that just happened. It was over 2 weeks, and our girls we ended up going all the way to the finals. We lost to Redondo. But the team's looking really good right now. We're about 4-2 right now, and we have a game tonight at Redondo Union.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's a big game.
Yes.
That's Tom Chaffins.
Yes.
Is that at Redondo?
At Redondo.
What time?
At 6 p.m.
Oh, my God. They don't allow people?
I think they allow some people. I know we're having fans, but people who enter the gym have to be wearing masks. But I think it should be free to go.
Yeah, man. I like Chaffins a lot, man.
Yeah, me too.
Chaffins, one of the good guys of the sport. For everybody listening, Tom Chaffins is the head coach of Redondo Union High School. He was a very good indoor player. I think he played for El Camino, but they said he was a savage defender. Mm-hmm. And And of course, he has like a story to share that probably would have like crushed so many people coming up. But they say what doesn't crush you defines who you are. Mm-hmm. You know, and what an amazing human being. What a great character. Mm-hmm. You know, what a great original character.
Yeah.
You know, you've had a chance to talk to him a bunch of times too, right? You the same way.
Oh, absolutely. He actually just started coaching for Surfside. From this past season, this club season. So, and whenever I was in the gym, he was in the gym kind of further down, and it's funny because like you definitely say.
Sorry, go ahead. You can go ahead. I'm just trying to share this.
And I remember you were saying something about, character, and I know for him, when you're in the gym and he's near you, like you can kind of feel that energy, and you can hear him. Like he's a very vocal coach, and it's very exciting to see him coach. I think all the girls like it, all the athletes that he's been around, he's definitely a big influence. Yeah,
man. I like people said when I coached NCAA or even high school. Mm-hmm. I only coached one high school in New York. They said that dude is theater performance. They're like, because I'll do some things like, yo, we're getting screwed, right? And I'll turn around and I'll like bend over. I'm like, you see this? This is us. I'll do something crazy like that. But Chaffins is, he's something to behold, man. He's theater performance. Mm-hmm. So is it just the JV game or is it the varsity game?
Oh, I'm coaching varsity for the girls. So there, I think we play at 4, 5, and 6. So it'll be Froschoff, JV, and then us.
Nice. So actually, I'm going. I don't know if you know already. I'm going to be LA Beach Volleyball and LA Volleyball Club. Jo, for everybody listening, Jo is the program director for indoor, and Dane Blanton is taking over for. Wow, my sound's better. Well, Dane Blanton's taking over for Stein Metzger. So I think I'm probably going to be doing both, but looking forward to coaching against you.
Absolutely.
Once again, for everybody listening, I got that job because they're trying to hoodwink this guy, this guy right here. They're trying to hoodwink him to join, and they're like, "Wait, how close are Jason and Greg, dude? They sing karaoke twice a week. We got to get Jason." They remind me of, there's a movie called Soul Man. Mm-hmm. Have you ever seen the movie Soul Man? Soul Man is basically this white guy that took tanning pills so he could get a scholarship for Harvard, which is only for like black people. Mm-hmm. So he took like these tanning pills, and he's playing a pickup basketball game like at Harvard, and they're like, "All right, I got him." No, I got him. Then next thing you know, they're having this big argument. He's like, "Guys, I'm not that good." And they're like, "Well, you played before, right?" And he says, "Yeah, a couple of times in the park." They looked at him. They looked at each other. They started pushing each other. This in the park. So that was one of the things where they're like, these two are, how close are they? And they sing karaoke twice a week. Mm-hmm. They're like, nah, we got to get him. We got to get Jason. So good homework on their part, but it ain't going to work. Greg's loyal. Greg puts the L in loyal, right? And even if he wasn't, we ain't going to say it on the air. Let's talk a little bit of indoor Olympics.
Okay.
Because I could talk someone's ear off, but this is a podcast, right? And I think you should be talking more than me. And certainly this isn't your wheelhouse. I guess let's just start on a general blanket. What happened? What happened to the men's team? It's a 6-team pool. Only 4 teams get out. Let's talk about some of the things that why we felt they fell short.
Well, I think the easiest thing to point out is the biggest thing is that knowing John Sproul, who's a great coach, he has a certain philosophy when it comes to serving, and I think that, as we all know, people who play men's volleyball, like either you are bombing the serve, right, to try to get the other team out of the system, or like if the serve's a lollipop, it's going to be just shoved right down your throat. So with that mentality, you're going to have your errors. And yep. I think that when it comes to serving, I think that's a big thing that happened. We missed a ton of serves in certain matches. And when you're specifically when the game's tight, like it's just a bummer, and I think that with the how young some of the guys are playing, I think that they are still really great volleyball players, but like for some of the younger players that haven't really played at that level, there's a sense of pressure. It's the Olympics. I think that definitely has a huge effect on the overall performance of the team. You have these veteran guys, that also too, I think had their struggles, and eventually, when it led down to, whether or not they're going to go further or not, it just showed, that wear and tear. I think that, I don't know, it's kind of tough to say because it's like, for me, I played against a lot of those guys in college, and those guys played some phenomenal volleyball, like from the years that I played in college, and a lot of these guys also have had injuries too. Like Taylor Sander had hurt himself, and was coming back from an injury, and then Thomas Jishke, he had his problem with his leg as well, coming back, and it's just interesting to see when it comes to who they pick for these rosters, like who they take, who they didn't take, and it's just like, I don't know, like if maybe they took some other people, like would it change anything? I don't really know, but maybe might give you a different look. But
so let's talk about the first part. The first part you talked about was serving, right? Serve to space. Sometimes I agree with you. I mean, I'm kind of in the middle on this, all right? Spora is like, if we don't serve tough, it's the same thing as a free ball. Plus it's like a free rep for them, and then they get momentum. They get galvanized. So I understand his point of view, but I think where Spora was flawed in this instant was there are you have to know your team. Like Russia can serve out 14 times and still win.
Right.
Brazil can serve out 14 times and still win. Italy, for the most part, can serve 14 times and still win. Why? Because they have the talent to win transition points back, and their side-out game was automatic.
Absolutely.
Now, Spora has to look in the middle of the match and look at his side-out game to measure. You got an army of assistant coaches that can measure the percentages of times they were in system. And this is something where I feel like, I mean, I'm going to get into Mike Christensen later because he was so bummed and depressed about it. And I'm like, if you want to cry, cry, but you don't cry with your head down. You keep your head up because he did everything he was supposed to do. He's an option setter.
Yes.
The dude hits with both hands, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and you're going to pass him. And I'm not just talking about free balls. I'm not just talking about serve receive. Free balls, down balls are passed at the 10-foot line. Why?
Right.
No. Why?
Exactly.
So getting back to the serve thing, because we're not even close to being done talking about this. This is I don't get a lot of high level indoor players like you on this show, and I as a former player will talk about it to a certain level. Then I defer to those people. Because I got a lot of nice things to say about some of the players too. So I'm not just, I could be negative Jays. I could be a hater Jay sometimes, but I'm not, I swear to everybody, listen, I'm not doing that. Their team isn't good enough to survive 14 service errors and win, including against Argentina. All right. So, and that's where I think they were flawed. You can miss serves, but you have to know your team. Right, they missed a lot of serves in 2008 too, but they won the gold. So they missed a lot of serves in 2012, but they finished first in their pool. And missed serves weren't the reason why they lost to Italy.
No.
Italy caught fire in 2012. That was just ridiculous. So that's one of the things. Two, now let's talk about clientele. All right, you got Aaron Russell, who was out, who. Honestly, I wasn't sold on him in 2016, but because my contemporaries kind of set me straight on like who he was in 2016, who he was now, I kind of got on board with him because I wasn't on board with him after what happened in Italy in the Olympics. You have Reed Pretty on the bench, who was like, I believe like won like 4 of the last 5 times he played Italy, and you got Aaron Russell on the court just to see if he could do it, right?
Mm.
The guy blows game 1, 3 receiving errors. He blows game 5, right? And then they put Reed Pretty in, and they beat the Russians for the bronze. And, but lead doesn't. With that team, lead doesn't shine. That should have been gold, but he's better now. But unfortunately, wasn't there. Mm. Matt Anderson, sensational, right?
Yes.
Matt Anderson was sensational. Maybe if Christensen could have done something better, maybe backset more. Who knows? Maybe not. Right after the fact. I want to talk about TJ DeFalco.
Mm-hmm.
I was not sold on this gentleman when he came in. I was like, this dude is way in over his head. He's got a chip on his shoulder. And if he comes with that energy against teams where you're not supposed to come with that energy, because it's like Brazil, right? That's like giving Popeye spinach.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get a block, you go yes, and then you deal it in. No elongated yells that's supposed to last. You don't put that extra second on that screen, because those guys look for reasons. They conjure up reasons in their head to come back, right?
Absolutely.
Like I don't know. We could talk about the AVP semifinals too with Theo Brunner or whatever, but I'll share that with you later, because one indoor. And I'm gonna give you the floor on TJ DeFalco, but I wasn't sold on him in the beginning, but watching him play in the Olympics, man, that kid's got balls.
Yeah.
Man, that kid's got balls. He was. I still think for this Olympics he was slightly in over his head, but he didn't care. He wasn't there to listen. He ain't got time to listen to people like me, right? He ain't got time to listen to no hater. Be like, I'm here. What am I supposed to do? Just say I'm in over my head? Nah, I'm a cowboy up. The dude played like a cowboy. Your thoughts on how DeFalco played in these Olympic games, and whether you agree or disagree with my sentiment?
I gotta say, I definitely agree. I know, speaking from someone who has definitely played against him in countless tournaments, whether that's on the beach or indoor, he's just got that type of fire about him. And I think that, even, for one of those guys who, at the age of 18 was on the national team, like, that's a huge feat for anybody. And I know that, you got all these guys that are, from different countries, they're playing, that could be like our 18, 19 playing on their teams as well. Like, yeah. But like the culture is different out there, right? Like these guys have been playing at that level for a long time. And you got guys who are like 6'9", who have ball control, right? And like, so it's ridiculous, right? But I think that for him as a player, coming in this role, it's big, and I think that having that on like under his belt, like, hey, I played in the Olympics, like it's only going to elevate the game, because it's like, hey, I've been there, I've done that, and I know how to hang with these guys, So yeah, I mean, I think that's it. That's what it comes down to. He had his moments, and he plays with that type of fire. We get a block, get a kill. He just brings that energy.
Mm-hmm.
And I do agree that there are certain teams where you're like, okay, like we got to be careful, because you're not trying to poke the bear.
Yes.
But in certain opportunities, I know that when things aren't going well, like you do have to celebrate those little things.
Yep.
And trying to keep that chemistry, that positive energy on the court.
Yeah, like, look, again, I'm deferring back to 2008, and I mean, it's weird because it's 2020, right? And 2008 doesn't seem that far ago, but it really is. We're talking, dude, I'm sitting there talking about 12 years ago, 3 Olympics ago. They do have fire. They had fire players on that team. Reed Pretty could whoop it up. You know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Riley Salmon, of course, 6'1". He got to play with that chip on his shoulder, or whatever. David Lee, that's not his style, right? Ron Millar, he can go rap. Tyrannosaurus T-Rex loud with the jaw that just like looks like he could swallow your head up. But that's an example of a team that could whoop it up, but chose not to. Right. They kept their celebrations moderate. And they trusted in their system. And great systems, I guess, beat great teams, right? They beat Serbia and Montenegro. They beat Russia, albeit 5 sets apiece, but a win's a win. Beat Brazil in 4. A team they already knew they could beat because they played them in the World Championships, which is, I think, like a week before the Olympics, like 8 days before the Olympics. They beat Brazil 3-0. Mm-hmm. So Brazil wasn't a stylistically bad matchup for us, and then they've never been. In fact, even this Olympics, you know, we lost in 4, and Brazil was clearly a superior team. So, Micah Christensen, he was crying with his head on his coach's shoulder, and I posted something on social media, said, "You pick your head up and stand tall like the man we know you are." And I got a lot of blowback. People were saying, "Oh, go," because there's nothing wrong with a man crying and this and that. And I think you know me well enough to know that's not what I was saying.
No,
my actual words were, you pick your head up, and you stand tall like the man you are, like the man we know you are. I didn't say don't cry. I'm saying you don't have to hide your tears. I'm agreeing with a lot of people's sentiment. You don't have to like have people not see you cry, because those same people that are saying it's okay to cry is like, I'm like, well, he's burying his head, right? So which one is it? Where you directing your energy? So your thoughts on how you thought Micah Christensen set in this Olympics? I thought, look, I give him an A and A minus, and I only got to take the minus because I'll never know what he could have done in system, except the France game, which was like a great sample size on ball control. Go ahead.
I think he did. I mean, as a setter who I've actually got to see like close and personal as a middle blocker at CSUN, playing against him at SC.
Yeah.
I would say that guy can do some phenomenal stuff.
Jesus,
like
he's so good. He's so good.
I'll tell you this, I agree with you in terms of, the down ball, free balls, that are getting passed on the 10-foot line, all that type of stuff, right? But with the way that he sets, like the technique, the style, like he can pretty much set anyone who he wants on the fly. He really can.
Jesus,
And
I agree.
Definitely, like, hey, we get some of those passes a little closer to the net. Maybe, we win a little bit more of those games. Maybe. Who knows?
Right.
But I definitely think that, like, he's out there doing 110% of, like, what he can do. Like, every single point, he's putting all the effort in.
There was no setter in the tournament better than he was.
No.
In the Olympic Games. And I know, hey, I'm an American first guy, but no. That's just truth, Tom. Go ahead.
Yes. I think that there's even like certain situations too where, let's say if it's a tight pass, certain situation, and he's over here as one hand back setting to the oppo, like getting nobody up. Like these are like some crazy athletic moves that he's doing.
And not just that, back sets that are accurate.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of setters, like, like throw out a ball to fool the block, but at the same time they didn't deliver something that setter, that hitter, even on one-on-one action can execute. Right? If it's not a good set, then one-on-one is almost like 1-on-2 or 1.5.
Right.
But not Micah. Micah has good in block deception and accuracy, and that's why he gets the rub from me.
Yeah, he's very dynamic. The guy can hit with his left and his right. There's not a lot of setters who can say they can do that as well. So, and I like his toss for his serve.
Yeah, his opposite hand toss.
Yeah,
right?
opposite hand toss, and so. And he's got this little swagger about him, when he plays out there. So I like it.
But it's also dialed back. It's not. It's. I agree with you. It's not. It's not necessarily invisible. You see it, right? Any player sees it, but not. It's not. I don't know. It's not something that's going to grab the attention of the other team. It's just enough to galvanize his team, because on offense, right? While he's looking at the coach, everybody else is looking at him, right, for offense. So it's just enough for people to feed off that energy, but also not enough to gain the attention of a team across the net that's trying to Michael Jordan them or Ronda Rousey them. You know what I'm saying? Like those kind of athletes, they invent reasons in their head to put them up, and it's like, damn, like, or even like Trevor Crabb and Try, like we were watching the AVP, like Theo got a block and kind of like smacked him on the butt when he on the switch off, and I'm like, how the hell is that? How the hell are you gonna get wound up about that when these guys spend like a whole tournament doing something we call the South Bay stare, right? They hit a ball and they're staring across. And I call it the South Bay stare because it's hilarious, right? Because they did that in New York. Someone right? Someone you get popped in your mouth.
Yeah.
It's like, right? Like where I'm from, that means we fighting. I don't care how big you are. If I can't beat you, I'll take a bat to your knees. So right, I'll be back with my aluminum, on my Louisville Slugger. I'll go Yankee Stadium on you. But anyway, I really like. The only reason why I talked about him being in system because as a front row player, like you said, he hits with both hands. That hit on two is a real thing.
Yeah.
That hit on two is a real thing. The outside blocker has to pick up that hit on two. You can easily run a back one and make that outside blocker jump twice. Mm-hmm. Or if your D zone's fast enough, right? You give him more line and inseam, more room to work with and this and that. So, and Matt Anderson, that's the guy you can't leave. Back row or anywhere. You can't leave. The guy is 6'10". And he's 6'10" and playing the best volleyball offensively that I've seen him play in the Olympics to date. Mm-hmm. He was in the last 3 Olympics, but would you agree?
Yes, absolutely.
Like his offense, the dude was great.
Yeah, no, he's doing phenomenal.
Yeah, so that's
really.
one thing I would have liked to see him do better offense. Now defense, on the defensive side, normally in a normal system, like I'm a European trained indoor player. So I'm different from your American. So I'm not really sure what the hell Sparrow was thinking. Using Venezuela as a sample size. Instead of bunch blocking, or we call it loose goose. I put an arm out like this.
Yeah.
I could touch your shoulder.
Yeah.
The one ball is high, but it's slow enough for the outside block is step block. Come in, step block. You could triple that up or whatever. Mm-hmm. And now the middle has a whole step without having to step out and back in to close the hole. And the outside hitter, in my system, the outside hitters are supposed to fill, close to make sure there's no tweeners, not the middle.
Right.
So, how am I doing so far?
No,
with that? Yeah.
Like
so,
if they're coming in.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So instead, you had DeFalco and you had Sander way out to the pin to defend the red. You had Christensen and whatever way too far out or whatever. And this was obviously a strategy because Argentina, their middles were smaller than ours. So his level of thinking, this is what I think he was thinking. He was thinking if the other teams, and this is only applies to in system. Out of system, right? 3 to the left, 3 to the right.
Right.
But in system, I think he was thinking we have sides in the middle. And if they're insistent, if we have to eat something, instead of eating lines on both sides off the go on the red,
just let the middle.
Yeah, let the middle kind of just hump it out. Now where it backfired was the middles from Argentina were timing their set. Sometimes it was like a delayed one, something that you hit really well.
Like a 1.5.
Sometimes it was a West Coast one where they were just pulling the trigger first, and the middles were. By the time the third game came, the middles looked like they were on suicide watch. It was. So what did you see anything like on defense, like outside of what I said, or maybe co-signing what I said on that they could have done differently? That's a tough one, right?
It's tough. I mean, I agree though. I mean, if the middles are very, very small, and let's say the pins are good, like they're running a pretty fast offense.
Yeah, you got a decision to make.
You kind of like, hey, you just got to just man up, and like, obviously, the middle is not going to be the biggest priority, but if it's a perfect pass situation, then yes.
Yeah.
Right. But for sure, if it's like kind of a medium pass, okay, hey, we're gonna take a step and kind of read, and then you have your certain situations where, hey, you're just gonna be straight releasing. So I think that's probably what the idea was. Like, hey, they're not gonna be the biggest threat, but at the same time, like if it's a perfect pass situation, be ready, and then if not, releasing to the pins.
Right.
And so. Obviously, if that's the game plan, you're doing it over and over again, the other team's going to pick up on that. And So they're like, okay, well, let's get the middles more involved. And then, by that point, it's like once they start biting, then they go back out to the outsides or the pins, right?
Right.
So just trying to play that game of cat and mouse.
Yeah, but I think that's also about clientele too, right? Like in 2004 Olympics, like the first time we really saw go ball done right was Giba and Dante.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Americans invented it, but then the Brazilians found a way to have the wrist integrity to make it part of their game. Like, look, for everybody watching who's playing college and high school, yeah, the go ball is fun. You're one-on-one, but the speed of the ball and the trajectory, you have to have the wrist integrity to be able to even beat the blocker in front of you.
Right.
There are so many, when I played, there were so many guys that ran to go where I'm just like, okay, right hand in his face, right? Left hand presses or cuts off. And now now every 10 balls, 8 out of 10 balls, I'm getting the touch one-on-one in system. So, but when you have talent like Giba and Dante, then and it's part of your offense, and not only is it a go ball, you got this talented outside hitter that can do something about it. That's one thing. So getting back to what I was saying, the Italians, what they did was they took an opposite. They took a middle. I think it was Fay, and put him oppo, and then beefed up, and took the oppo, the lefty, and put him outside, left side, and then took a middle off the bench. So now if they have the go ball, they were doing spread block the same way Spora was doing it, instead of like a swing block or whatever. They were doing kind of like, because Spora wasn't doing a loose goose. Germany, we call it a loose goose because it's not spread and it's not tight either. It's not. It's somewhere in between where everyone could go step, could twitch it, step up, boom. That's why you see in a lot of these European teams when it's a triple block. You're like, oh, I'll just find a hole. Ain't no hole, man. Well, what hole? But and I think that's what he was trying to do. But I thought the mistake was it's about clientele. Mm-hmm. I mean, is DeFalco, that guy that's you're comfortable even one-on-one against the opposite? Probably not. Maybe, I don't know. I was just sad. Look, we're both America guys, right? And you as a middle, there's a whole bunch of things you felt like, man, if I was on that team, I could have done that, but you're too nice to say that. But let's highlight another good player on the American team that we liked. I like the libero. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is that Shoji? Is that who it is? Yeah.
Yes.
Is it Hawaii guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, good passer, man. Good passer.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's a pretty scrappy defender for sure. Certainly enjoy watching him play a lot. And I would think for the most part consistent, I don't really have much else to anything negative really to say about him, to be honest.
No, it's all positive.
It's all positive. It's all positive.
Yeah, man. I like that the whole purpose of having a libero is you want him to be your best passer or at least your second best passer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Rich Lamborn was probably the second best passer on that team, only to Riley Salmon. Yeah, the way he faces his angle, the way he's a good midline passer if you want him to midline a pass. You never see him J-hooking stuff. You never see him doing stuff for style points. His game is clean. He comes under the operation that the game is more beautiful when you do it right, instead of showing people how good you are in style points. And you never see him. I don't know. You never see him. There's no frills, right? You never see him do something that's not essential. He gets rid of all non-essentials and it's completely technical. His serve receive is really good. His defense is fearless. Really like that guy. I really love what's going on. Last but not least, French national team. Congratulations, they won the gold.
Yes.
And I personally thought they were the best passing team, and certainly in Game 5 in the finals. Mm-hmm. Right? They were passing dimes. Yeah, man, that dude is for real, isn't he? Freaking outside hitter. I can't remember his name. Tell me.
Was that Kevin Tilley?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was at UCI when I was playing.
He was?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God, dude.
That team was pretty... Chris Austin set him for a national championship.
Yep.
Yeah, they had a really good team those 2 years that they're playing. Man, it was pretty gnarly.
I was coaching Chris Austin this weekend at the
yeah?
AVP. It was him and Cole Fears.
Mm-hmm.
And he hit me up the night before, and he's a very strong personality. So it was surprisingly how well we got along, because him, very much like Jeff Samuels, they're kind of control freaks. They don't want to give up that control. And sometimes when you have a coach like me who's a strong personality, one of us has to give up a little bit of control. And in this case, for the 2 games, we won one and we lost to Levin, Prima, and Landell. Mm-hmm. But we beat Garrett and Garrett. We beat Garrett Westberg and Garrett Roberts, who was like a higher seed. I was very, very happy. I was very proud of him. Dude, watching the way that guy's mind works.
Yeah. It's very interesting.
Oh, he's so freaking bright, dude.
But yes,
and so mature beyond his years. But Tilly's a good guy to smile about, right? Cool. Let's talk about the women's team.
Absolutely.
Because we love the ladies, know. They're not only pretty, but they're ballers,
I was say, time after time, like watching that team play, they're like so good. And it's like crazy too, but just because of like, they're just like super consistent, very consistent.
Yeah.
Like, there wasn't a moment really where I was like, oh, like the wheels are falling off. It's just they don't play like that. They don't have situations like that. No. Like whenever that seems to happen, they're able to just bounce right back.
And elements of Karch Karai. Mm-hmm. As a player was rubbed off all over on that team. Like some of those girls were kind of broad jumpy when I first saw him play, and then you got was it Berg, Lindsay? No. What's the outside hitter's name? She took she hit the last point. Match point.
Larson.
Yeah,
Jordan
Larson had a little bit of a floaty, broad jumpy thing before Karch, and now, whoom, straight up. And whipping with the same power, So and her serve receive, she's holding her platform like you see Karch hold his platform, and it's weird because I know Karch is not trying to get people to play like him, Because honestly, if you're a coach that's a former player, if you only reflect to your experience, then you're coaching limited to your experience, and then the players are only limited to what you experienced. Right. So I thought Karch was very, very careful about that, and turned out I've always considered him a good coach, but this man did it for every women's team that was worthy of winning the gold. I look back 2016, right? They won the bronze. At the end of the day, they weren't good enough, right? Serbia was good and China was good. 2012, silver medal, lost to Brazil. 2008, silver medal, lost to Brazil. One of the sets they won 25-10, and then they lost the next 3. But I thought this was for every great women's team that was that close.
Right.
Let's go back to 1984, silver medal, right? Let's go back to 92, bronze medal. So you're talking 2 bronze, 3 silvers, no golds for these squads that are so deserving. I mean, it's the Olympics, right? Everyone's deserving, but so deserving. And of course did you see them cry? Did we not cry? Did we not shed a tear with them?
Oh, it was a very, very, very big moment for sure. And
look at you going to cry right now, man. Just like me, man.
I definitely, for me, it was also great to watch too, because a lot of those girls on that team, they're like good friends of mine, for sure, just for example, like Justine, like the libero, like her mom Winnie, like she used to like ref a lot of my games growing up, high school, club, whatever it was. And so we play in some tournaments here together, like co-ed stuff, and it's just so sick to like watch, like, oh hey, like I know that person playing the Olympics, and knowing that like, oh, like they did it. It's like, it's just so crazy, like. And just now, like, also just, to talk about, like, when I was in the gym, doing stuff with USA, it was like, you can always see them on the other side of the gym, like beginning their practice when we were like kind of finishing up. And it was just always so interesting to see like, what they would do for their warm up and like how connected the girls were and you can just kind of see, it just when you're watching it as they're out on the court, they just play so fluidly together. Like it's like you said, like a lot of that stuff rubs off from Karch, and you could see like how passionate he is about the team too, and I think that definitely feeds that intensity too.
Yeah, did you see Karch's post match?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Man, it was like the robot feels.
Yes. Well, even when, what was it, 2016? When they came up short, like you could just see like he was very emotional about it, and then, hey, here it is, 2020, and they did it. Like, you put the work in, and it shows.
God,
absolutely.
I think Karch also showed people who don't coach how emotionally invested a coach can be in there, right? There are some people, they're like, oh, people want to win for their own ego. Oh, he's a gold medalist player, so now he thinks he's a gold medal coach. That's not... Karch showed everybody at the end that's whether it's the beginning of the journey or the middle of the end, that's not what he was about.
No.
Anyone that's ever coached, and Greg, I'm sorry I'm talking too much. I swore. This is indoor. I wanted to give you more of the floor, and I will. Anyone that's ever coached, and these girls are in the gym and they're getting it in, and you watch them learn, you watch them improve, and you watch them put these things into a game, right? Into a game, into a team effort. And the disappointment of them not getting what they want, maybe there's a loss, a tough loss. And we, Greg, as coaches, as real coaches, you want it for these girls. You don't want it for yourself. You only want it for yourself if you lose because you got some work to do. But there are some games where you maybe every game, maybe most games, where you want it for these girls so freaking bad, and when they don't win, and you see their pain. I mean, do people not have a fucking soul? Of course he's gonna feel in victory and defeat. The man is emotionally invested. You're emotionally invested in your team. Those girls love you because they know you care about their game, and you care about them as young girls and players. This is Greg. This is a real thing, right? It's our strength and our weakness as coaches. We're emotionally invested, right? Right. I mean, what would you say your biggest strength as a coach is?
I would have to say, I definitely want to make sure that I get to know everyone's personality, right? Because I think obviously I can tell you 20 times something about your technique, but if your personality, you're a type of person who does better by hands-on, or if my phrasing needs to be different, like I need to understand that initially, so then that way when I have to tell you something, I know what best way to get it across. So, and by taking part in trying to understand people's personality, you're also getting invested with them emotionally. You're trying to create that relationship, coach to player, and letting them know hey, if there's ever a day when we're in practice and it's like, hey, if I'm on you about something, it's not because of you as a person. It's just I'm separating the two, you know, there's the person and the player. And it's also trying to figure out hey, is there anything going on today? Something seems off, as a coach, it's really easy to be like, oh, hey, we're only here to worry about practice, whatever. And if you're not doing good, okay, whatever. But being able to know these girls or boys, whoever you're coaching, you're able to let them know hey, someone looks different today. Is everything okay? What's going on? Let's talk. Right. And that way they feel comfortable coming to you about these stuff. So I think that's a big thing for sure for me as a coach.
I think you're right, and I think it's so much more important for girls volleyball than boys. Where I believe the generally accepted philosophy is girls productiveness in volleyball comes from camaraderie, teamwork, and emotional investment in each other. Where men's is more like leadership through performance or whatever, and this and that. And
Yeah, I
we're not going to defer to studies on that, but I think we both agree on that. So yeah, that is important. This girl's having a bad day, which is what happened before she walked in the gym. You know, your ability to take things and communicate them with them in a way that makes them understand it so they can be productive. Right? Especially this generation. Like my generation, if a kid asked why, it's like,
yeah, because I said
why?
so.
Why? Why ain't in your vocabulary, mofo?
Yes.
In fact, everybody run, you know?
Yeah.
No, but this generation, if they understand the why, they're more productive. You know?
Yeah. I would say too, in terms of generations, like, you know, I came back from, you know, playing high school and where, you know, I had a coach who, you know, would literally curse me out if I did something wrong. And because of just how being brought up, like you got thick skin, you're like, all right, you're right.
Yeah.
And boom, you can just move on.
Yeah.
Whereas now you can't do that.
No, dude.
Like you're gonna get like parent emails, phone calls, all types of stuff. Like, oh, you yelled at my kid. That I'm like, you know, like you just can't do that. So you have to. It sucks in a way, but at the same time, it does help because it's different. But also trying to figure out, okay, hey, even though, you know, you can't actually go about it this route, okay. Yeah. As a coach, you're learning and adapting, right? You're trying to figure out new ways and to teach your kids. And so definitely with this generation, it has been a trying time, specifically due to COVID.
Right.
But we're finding out creative new ways to teach the game of volleyball. And also trying to instill some sort of culture for your teams. Right?
Yeah, I totally agree. Sorry, you were finishing a thought?
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it definitely comes down to, you know, okay, hey, even though these kids, you know, they might be spoiled or whatever it is, and or they might have some drama on the team, whatever, like trying to figure out a way for all the kids, everyone to be on the same page. And to be able to, and doing so, once you get to know the kids, you get to know, like, who you can push and who do you need to be a little bit more, you know, like, okay, hey, everything's all good. Don't worry about it. So specifically, you know, when you have that specific kid and it's 20 all or 20, 24, 23, and you're like, okay, hey, is this the type of kid that I can tell them, hey, like, you got this, whatever, no problem? Or am I going to be like, hey, rip this ball, go for it, you know? And they're going to be okay because they're going to know it's not going to be added pressure, you know?
Because mentally to them it's 1-1 instead of 24, 23.
Knowing your clientele.
Right.
So that's what it comes down to.
I also would like to suggest to you that style and that approach, if or when it leads to success, other coaches who have the same obstacle as some old school coaches who are kind of set in their ways and only have like one way to do it. Sooner or later, that kind of coach is going to have a conversation with a coach like you. And you're a young coach, but you can teach an old dog new tricks by just constantly just keeping your nose in the work the way you're doing and in the style of coaching in which you're doing, right? I'll use myself as an example. I was a head coach at City College for a couple of years in 2008, 2007, 2008. And there was a kid, my outside hitter, it's like trying not to cry or whatever and this and that. And I'm like, and I'm in the huddle and I'm like, what the hell's wrong with you? You know, because back then I'm still, you know, like there's no crying in volley. Are you crying? No crying in volleyball. Go sit down and walk it off, you know. But and I'm like, the hell's the matter with you? And he's like, you yelled at me in front of my girlfriend. You laughing because you know what's coming next. So I said, your girlfriend is looking at this huddle. She's not looking at this huddle saying coach yelled at him. She's looking at this huddle saying you playing like ass right now. That's what she's thinking. So you need to, you know, totally different way, and in retrospect, of course, the wrong way. This is a while ago, right? This is the kind of thing that gets you canceled, right? Something you said like that was 2008. Something you said 12 years ago gets you canceled now, right?
Yeah.
But I'm kind of a made man, so I don't care. But I said, yeah, your girl's not thinking coach is yelling at you. Your girl's thinking you playing like ass. You know, I don't know if it made it worse. I don't know if I just pushed him completely off the cliff where he could reset. But you can imagine as a player reacting to what the coach said, that could have went so many different ways. He could have just left the gym, right? And I'd have been like the ref, like I talk to the ref. How do I do this sub? He's not at the 10-foot line no more. He's not inside the 10-foot line anymore, right? He's literally gone mentally. But then. That was me in 2012. And me now, I probably don't have that conversation. You know, Redondo, there's a kid that missed a serve when I said, look, underhanded, punt it, don't miss the serve. And when he missed the serve, I said, I could fucking kill you. And then his wife told, his mom told my program director that I threatened him. I physically threatened him. And I was like, no, I didn't. I threatened a volleyball player with volleyball. Do you actually think that I was going to kill this kid when he left the gym? You think I was going to be one of those coaches that went home, got his AR-15 and hosed my libero down? No, it was one of those things where I still needed to understand. Wow, that was flashes of old me, you know, and some parents and kids don't do that, and especially for club, right? Because club is run by the parents. College by the coaches, and really pros, at least for beach, pros by the players. So that's how it works. So if I'm in an environment where I know I can't be like that, and really right now as a coach, I'm not saying there's no room to be like that. But if I'm like that, my kids have to see I'm like that from day one.
No, yeah.
So we got tryouts in September, and if I'm like that in January. It's not something that's a surprise to everybody.
No, exactly. So, I agree.
So, yeah, but where's that line though? Where's that line where the kid has to have thick skin, and where's that line where the coach has gone too far? You know?
Yeah. I mean, well, it comes with, you know, if you build that culture early that the kids know, hey, this is how things are going to be from day one.
They can make a decision to quit or stay with it. Yeah.
Yes. And at that point, it's like, hey, like if you are still here after this set time, now you're locked in.
Yep.
And there's no surprises at this point.
Yeah.
Right? You already know what the norm is, right? So, for example, hey, you show up late, right? The whole team's running. You know that.
Right.
Right? It's like, hey, practice time doesn't change. So whether you need to get here earlier, you need to tell your mom, your dad, whoever it is that's dropping you off to drop you 20 minutes early so you're going to be on time or whatever. You got to figure that out.
Yep.
Right?
But the thing that the weird thing is, sorry to interrupt, but the thing that upset me was that, okay, they didn't like my delivery, but don't make the illogical leap. I'm actually going to kill this kid.
No.
Right? Yeah. I could have said it a different way, like, hey, I'll give you noogies. I'll give you, like that,
yes,
and that's more cute, right?
Yes.
You know, sorry, you had a thought, and I didn't want to just veer too far from that. It was about coming in, right? The coming in, knowing the coach and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, it's back to what I was saying before. Like, you know, I had a coach that, you know, would curse me out, say some stuff like that. You know, I didn't take it personally. If anything, you're laughing about it because you're like, you're right. I was an idiot. I don't know what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And
life goes on.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, you know, just to add, when it comes to stuff like that, like the culture type of stuff, and, you know, I think that, you know, you set that early, it just helps create that discipline.
Right.
Right? Because when it comes down to, you know, there's a lot of these moments where these kids are just out there playing volleyball and they do things without actually thinking about it. Like there's no purpose behind it.
Right.
Right. So it's like, hey, like for example, if I tell the kids like, hey, go shag all the volleyballs, and you have the kids that are just kind of walking around, like there's no purpose, like they're not moving.
Oh, no.
You know, that's a pet peeve.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, I told you to go shag balls. I didn't say walk.
Nope.
If we're in the middle of a drill and you're kind of just standing around not paying attention, and I'm talking to the team,
Yep.
like that's not going to help you get better.
Yeah.
And for me, the biggest thing is like you have these moments where that happens, and then that same kid is like wondering, oh, why am I not playing? Why is this? And I'm like, well, these are all these opportunities that you have to show me that you want this. You know?
Right. 100. Yeah, and to me, like, and people's ability to challenge the coach should be cut off at the path in the beginning, because people's audacity to challenge the coach comes somewhere in the middle, because the coach let this slide before, let that slide before. So finally, when the coach puts his foot down, then there's this kind of whatever.
Yeah.
Where if it's done in the beginning, just like you said, like there was a practice I was like telling people to shag, and then someone was walking, and I'm like, and I'm not gonna call the girl's name, but I'm like, I'm like, so you walking in my practice, and she looks at me and gives me that look, like kind of like she does what she wants.
Mm-hmm.
If that's the first day, that you have to as a coach. You have to command respect, or, and people are going to disagree with this, a healthy fear. Healthy fear meaning, like, all right, the respect is that guy's Dane Blanton. He told me to run. I'm going to run because I respect him. Or that guy's Jason. You know, he's not Dane Blanton. I don't respect him the same way, but that dude is scary. And I think I'm just going to run, you know. I mean, but disrespect and them doing whatever they want when they want is not an option. So to me, that is my dichotomy. It might be a false dichotomy, but it's a real one. Mm-hmm. So girl takes her time. Basically, I call one girl over and I'm like, hey, do you know what the plank is? And she's like, sure. I'm like, get in the plank. And then she tries to get up. I'm like, no, stay there. Another girl in practice. What's your name? Plank. What's your name? Plank. And then when the girl who was walking tries to get into the plank, I said, not you. Them. You shag, they can get up when you're done. So that's an example of how I handle that girl who's not only not willing to listen to me, but the whole thought of listening to me was ridiculous to her. Mm-hmm. But guess what? Everyone's in a plank now, right? And they're all looking at her like this.
Like, can you hurry up, please?
Yeah. And in girls volleyball, right, where camaraderie is the most important thing.
Oh, yeah.
You don't want a team full of girls looking at you like this.
Nope.
No. That could tear a team apart, because it'd be everyone combating her, or it could be like, hey, sorry, you know, like I respect my teammates, because they probably all grew up together, right? Mm-hmm. I'm giving an acute example that I'm not naming names, but you already know what I'm talking. I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. Yeah. I think that, you know, once you can build that accountability amongst the team, it's only gonna be helpful for you as a coach, because, you know, when you are already starting out with your team, you kind of like set that standard, and then you can from there focus a lot more on the actual volleyball. Right. When it comes to disciplinary stuff, it's like, come on, guys, do we like for I don't know how many hours you ever have practice, if it's 2 hours, an hour and a half, whatever it is,
right?
You're not trying to babysit, right? And it's like, hey, I'm actually here giving my time out of my day to make sure that you guys are better.
Yeah.
For you guys. Not for me, for you guys.
Yeah.
And when it comes down to, like, I have to be, you know, my biggest thing is I'll come to practice. I got a nice practice plan ready to go.
Boom.
And I can only get through half of the stuff because the team is like messing around or whatever. And some drills take longer than it needs to be. And that's the main issue. And I'm just like, really? Come on now. So basically, yes, I definitely agree on having that disciplinary stuff done from day one.
Yep.
And then that way they already just know.
Yeah, and Leszek, he's a Polish guy from Poland. He took over the program at John Jay College.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is a place where coaching careers go to die. All right, nobody wants to touch this job, especially for volleyball. Basketball, baseball, yeah, they have a rifle team, best in the country. But volleyball, for some reason, no one wants to go there. Nobody wants to coach there. Nobody wants to play there. And I was there for 1 year as an interim coach because I was assisting my boy Eder, who just resigned. And I said, guys, all right, I'm moving to California in a couple of months, but I can do this, and then I'm out. Mm-hmm. He took over this team, and the first thing he did, the first girl that gave him an attitude, you're gone. Bye. You know, athletic director comes, are you sure? Yep, I'm sure. She can't come back, you know, because once someone comes back, they own you. Second thing he did, chalkboard, and wrote the times on the chalkboard what the practice was, how long they were going to practice that. So everyone in the gym coming in saw the board. This is the amount of time we're spending on this. And all of a sudden, some of the girls, they're almost locked into this mode of, wait, this is, like when you work a 9 to 5, you have to show up at 9 and you have to do this and you have to exist through this part. And then lunch, you go to lunch and you come back from lunch, you exist through that part. So he kind of set up people's mentality where there's a certain time they're supposed to be somewhere and they're supposed to be doing something. And that got rid of, I thought it was genius. This guy literally, because we as coaches, we don't share our practice plan because sometimes we see new discoveries and sometimes we have to change it, right? Oh, wow. Just a genius program. He got his kids to the conference finals. It was like their first winning record. It was actually their first winning record. But it was the first time they made their conference finals, and I'm like so proud of this guy. Jay Check was an assistant coach on that team. Played for you. He's a senior, I think, at Northridge, and you're a freshman, I think. Jack.
Oh yes.
Yeah, Jack is the assistant coach there.
Yeah.
Jack Mario Gonzalez, who played for the Colombian national team. So he was this. Lechek is already 6'8", and he recruited a 6'9" guy and a 7-footer. so you got a bunch of short girls,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jack got me. Yeah, he helped me a lot my freshman year because, literally the guy was done with his eligibility, and I was literally going against this guy every single day in practice. Just one-on-one.
Jesus. By the way, you got a giant.
Yes.
Guys, for everyone listening, the guy's 7'1" when he's not hunching.
I will even say he's 7'2", but he will tell you, he's like, oh, I'm 7 feet. And we're like, no bro, you're 7'2". You're 7'2", flat-footed.
Jesus.
But
at least with you, looking on the camera right now, we know you're tall because you sit tall. Jack sits like a regular sized person, and then when he gets up,
I'm 6'7", and I'm like on his shoulder here, and this guy can literally jump with the bic and stand and block the middle. Yeah, that's how crazy
he
that
lands,
is.
And he just still has hands on the ball.
So
his senior year was his best one because it took him. He'll be the first one to tell you it took him 4 years to get to that.
Oh, I know. I talk to him about that all the time. Even all the guys.
It's probably why you learned something from him. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, I know when I got recruited, that team was number one, and so me watching this and coming in, and he was still there. He was one of the volunteer assistants that year. And so I learned a lot from the guy, just, playing middle versus middle every single day. And, and he's a great guy.
I got certain colleges, too, I call the nice guy school. Jack's a nice guy. This is Cal Northridge, Greg Faulkner, for everyone wondering. That's where he played ball. So you got Marty Lawrence, nice guy, right? Ty Trambly, who played there, nice guy. Kyle Stevenson, too, nice guy. Greg Faulkner. No one can say a mean thing about him. In fact, if Greg's mad at you, you probably fucked up. Because the guy don't even get mad at nobody, right? It's just usually this, you're kidding, right? You still, even though you got a smile on your face, he's kidding, right? And then all of a sudden it's but Pepperdine, I say the same thing about, John Mayer, right? Sean Rooney,
yes.
Greg Schenkel. Remember we played volleyball with him. Greg Schenkel hit middle. He won a chip. He played with Dane Blanton. Another nice guy. We could go on and on. So between Pepperdine and Cal Northridge, we got the nice guys school per conference because you guys are in Big West, right?
Yeah, they made that switch, which is very interesting because now every single team goes to conference championships.
Good.
And then the top two go to the Final Four. I think there's a wild card.
The top teams gets a bid. Whoever wins gets a bid, and then there's two at-large. Something we call at-large.
There's at-large bids, and then there's because they have that play-in match now.
Yeah.
So it's been interesting. I know it's a lot different since when I was playing, and because you had the 12 teams in the NPSF fighting for 8 spots. I think it's cool. I like it in a sense that it helps build the sport more because now you have the Coastal Carolina schools being able to come in and play. So it is definitely good.
Yeah. Is it the strongest conference in the NCAA?
Say it with me. Our conference is very tough.
It's gnarly.
It's very gnarly.
You
got Santa Barbara,
who played a great year.
Who played
Hawaii,
a really good
Hawaii,
team.
who's been in the mix the last 5 years?
Yes, and then UC San Diego probably played the best volleyball I've ever seen them play.
Good Lord,
This past year when they beat Hawaii in their own at their house. For the conference championship, dude.
Yeah.
Well,
they call this decade the decade of the repeat champion, right? Like, okay, Hawaii won once, but no one's surprised that they win again. But look before that, right? Long Beach State.
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State. That's MIVA. We got to give them their props too. And then Loyola Chicago. One of those they beat Division II Lewis, so they had all MAVA finals.
Mm-hmm.
And then Irvine. That was Chris Austin and Tilly.
Yeah.
And then before that, Ohio State. So you're talking 8 years in a row that they're repeat champions, but half of them, were Big West.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
Yeah. In fact, wasn't Hawaii and Long Beach State one of them? That was in all Big West finals.
Yep.
Too worthy.
They were all Big West.
Too worthy, whatever, man. Oh, do you
And that match was pretty gnarly.
Yeah. Do you follow a beach? A little bit the Olympics? Did you watch a little bit of beach?
I definitely watched a little bit here and there.
Was it more men or women?
Probably more on the women's side.
Yeah. Well, that's what was moving the needle.
Once
for the American
I
side.
knew that Taylor wasn't in, it was kind of tough. But obviously, I love that Tri was able to step in.
Yeah.
But
Trevor pulled his back playing golf, and so Trevor was the first choice.
Yeah.
Because Trevor's more of a hybrid. Full-time and blocker and defender. In fact, he has. I think he has more in the toolbox than Taylor, though. People think Taylor's the better player. No one disagrees. We could have an argument about that, but no one argues that. No one argued that Taylor has a bigger toolbox.
Mm-hmm.
So you're right. When Taylor was out, I was bummed.
Yeah.
Because he put all that work in. And again, last episode, I thought the person who I was more bummed for was Jay Gibb.
Yeah.
Right, because everybody was talking about how Taylor worked hard and this and that, but I'm like, Jay Gibbs has got to go through 4 years of having to let this kid mature.
Absolutely.
So and I felt bad for him, but that was a good honeymoon though, right?
Oh, absolutely.
You know how you get like that new girlfriend, right? It's like, wait, you like what? You don't like mayonnaise either? Oh my God, me neither. Yeah. Wait, you like Chinese food? You like New York? I like New York. So they had this little honeymoon phase where they had all these things in common, and then the honeymoon didn't end right away. It only ended when they lost. So it worked out.
And then flash forward and Tri and Trevor win the NBO.
Yeah, man. Oh, Trevor guaranteed it.
Yes.
Trevor guaranteed it. Oh my God! Sometimes all you need is a skill set and the big pair of balls between your legs, dude.
That double block was nuts. I gotta tell you, like, that looks so crazy.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't even just the fact that like, hey, they went up to block. It was like the look at each other, like, oh wait, and then they got the block. That was so much fun.
And you know what's crazy? It wasn't the first time they did it.
No.
The 5-star.
Yeah.
The play-in, they played Mull and Sorum.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a dig and Mull went to option and they both stayed at the net. And they were like, shit, if we're going to stay at the net, let's just go as high as we can. There will be no line over. There will be no cut over. One of us is smacking, they smacked Mull's small shot down on a 5-star. Like take the MBO. Mm-hmm. Big tournament, it's the granddaddy of them all, and it generates this huge crowd. In fact, they're turning away people. But take that and multiply it by 5. And that's how nostalgic, I think it was Hamburg. Mm-hmm. Whoa, just the people doing the wave and then like the music. Hey, it looked like a soccer game in there, dude. Mm-hmm. It was gnarly is the word. I'm using gnarly more often than not. So the women, which team did you enjoy following, whether they were American or not?
Oh, I mean, I was watching for sure April and Alex, the A team.
Yes.
They played amazing. I mean, they didn't lose one game.
No.
They only dropped one set?
I don't even think they dropped that. I don't think any game went to 3 sets.
I think there might have been one game.
Okay.
I think there might have been one game.
Maybe in pool or something.
Yeah,
right?
in pool, but other than that, they did not lose a game.
I thought they were playing their best volleyball at the right time in the playoffs.
Oh, yes.
They beat... Now, Australia, if anyone watched them play Australia the last 3 times, I think Australia beat them 2 out of the last 3 times, and one of them was ugly. So for them to manhandle the Aussies in the finals like that, like they didn't even belong on the same court was... a testament to American dominance. And I'm glad it was April, because there's some people that are so damn cocky, and you're like, man, if they're like this now, if they win the gold, they're just going to be unmanageable. But April's not like that. April's cool.
No.
April's cool. Alex is keeps, I guess keeps to herself a little bit. She's introverted, so but all stories I hear about her, she seems pretty chill too. So,
absolutely.
So just great representatives of the United States, great representatives of women's volleyball.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as beach volleyball being back for the women, it's never left. It's a college sport now. We got foreign players studying here now, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like Tina Gradina, right?
Mm-hmm.
Florida International University has a bunch of good recruits. I think John Mayer had one from Italy. LMU, so right, the McNamara twins for UCLA. So yeah, for several women, it's never left. For the men, we got a problem. Like, be honest, none of us even thought like the two teams we were sending were gonna medal. No, a bronze would have been like, or whatever drug someone's out there. What's the drug everyone, like ecstasy? The bronze would have been like ecstasy if we to medal. We just didn't. Nobody. Not one person thought that Taylor or Jake going in was gonna medal. Not one person thought Phil and Nick were gonna medal. Try and Trevor, I thought if they got in, because they've been playing better on the international scene than they were in the AVP until now.
Yes.
They were always in the semifinals in that conversation, like almost every big 4 or 5 star. So they were the team I thought, right? If you're losing to Mullen Sorum in the bronze medal match, that meant you were in the semis to win or lose, right? So. Yeah, but yeah, I was like you. I was following them. I was following Team Slays. I always preach up and down that Kerry probably would have had a better shot if she played with Betsi Flint instead of Brooke Sweat. With respect to Brooke Sweat, Kerry needs someone that's kind of like a poor girl's Misty May, and I thought Betsi was more qualified. Let's just put it this way, Betsi. If you ever watch a beach game, some girls have that killer instinct. Like, if you serve me, I'm gonna fuck you up. Mm-hmm. Like mentally, like physically, you're going to get shot at or whatever and this and that, and you don't want to mess with that girl. And I couldn't say the same thing about Brooke. And that's where I'm going. I can't say the same thing about Sponsor. I can't say the same thing about Sarah Hughes. All of these competitive players, all of these girls never take a playoff, but there's that it factor, that Dracarys thing. You ever saw Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
When, what's her name, says Dracarys and the dragon just starts burning everything up and shit like that. I get that from Betsi Flint. Mm-hmm. She is a killer, dude. That just birthed the little baby dragon. I think she just had a little kid. Congratulations to Betsi. I literally rode my bike to MBO the last day just to say hello to some people. Theo Brunner, Betsi, gave her a little pound. Jeff Conover and Scott Davenport.
Yes.
Who just continue to fix all these things that seem broken or not, and just keep the ball rolling and keeping the glass more than half full. I thought they ran a hell of a tournament.
Yes.
I thought they ran a hell of a tournament. And the AVP Americas? The AVP Americas are first class now. They're great. Like, Atlantic City was $100K purse. Yeah. $12,000 first prize. That's third for the MBO. For like a smaller venue. What? So Greg, here's my question. So Greg, let's talk about the professional volleyball league. Is it VNL?
So there's 2 leagues. There's the VLA and the NVA.
Right.
So basically, if you were to think about adult nationals, right?
Right.
All those teams that are in the Open.
Yep.
Those are all like the VLA teams.
Right.
So, and then you have the NVA is a separate entity. From my understanding, I believe that the NVA came about first, and then a lot of those teams broke apart to create the VLA. There was a little bit of animosity between the two. I currently play for the NVA. I play for LA Blaze, and I enjoy it. I think it's a great opportunity for a lot of us that aren't playing professionally anymore, or some guys are still playing. They kind of just do this while they are waiting to get new teams or so. And it just gives them that overall volleyball feel just so they can just stay in shape. I kind of stumbled into it. Like, I think for me, for you guys who don't know, like I played professionally from 2015, 2016, 2017, and it's been different not going overseas, but at the same time, I started coaching and fell in love with coaching, and when I heard about this league at first, I was like, okay, like we'll see what happens, and my availability was just not good enough for me to be able to commit. But I remember I got hit up one time, what was it, last year, to come play in one of the events, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'm free. And so I just played for Elliott Blaze, and for me, it was a guy who hadn't played indoor like in a while, but I played a lot of beach, and I think that it went pretty smoothly. Like, I felt like I didn't lose much of that touch, and then we played again this past season, played in a few events, and we had just missed the playoffs by like one game. Like, we're playing in our last event, it was in San Bernardino, and I remember that like we had a match. We were playing against the I want to say it was the Southern Exposure team with Kyle D'Agostino.
Okay.
And
I like Kyle.
And literally, we had to win that match in 3 or 4, right? We had it on the ropes. We're doing good. We lose the 4th set and go to a 5th set, and then it was like a complete switch of like, okay, we're changing the clientele because now it doesn't matter. And I was a little bummed in that situation, I feel. I know that for me personally on that weekend, it was, I didn't play much. And then the one match that I did play, I was having, when it comes to serving, I was having some difficulties, some issues. It was just more just like I didn't feel comfortable. And it wasn't my best volleyball. But it was a bummer, like, knowing that, like, oh, hey, like, we had it and we could have went to playoffs, But that only helped me a little bit more focus in on, like, hey, like, I need to be better. So, I think when it comes around next season, the biggest thing for me is, like, okay, hey, I know I need to be in the gym. I need to be working on trying to build that back, because even though physically, like with my arm and stuff, I know I can do certain things, that I'm used to doing. But I think that like just trying to get stronger is only going to just help me play to that max of what I feel like percentage wise. I probably play like a good, maybe I want to say 78 to maybe 82% of like what I actually could do.
Right.
And which is it. I mean, those numbers are okay.
Yeah.
But like, I don't want to just be okay. You
want to do the things that you're good at.
Yes. So, but in terms of the league, I think it's a great opportunity for some guys, who aren't playing at very, very, very high level volleyball and have like real jobs. It still gives us that feel.
Yeah.
And eventually we hope that between both of the leagues, I mean, my hope is that we can somehow figure out a way to combine both of the leagues. Mm-hmm. And that way you have a bigger conference. And also, if you guys have watched the AAU Pro for the women's, they did a phenomenal job of setting it up and the way that they do their scoring. Because each week, these girls are getting drafted to a new team for the week. And because of the point scoring system, that's how they get paid. Like, by how well they do with their blocks, passing, serving, all that type of stuff. There's a different criteria that you accumulate points over the week, and then that's pretty much what happens. And they did a really good job of getting sponsors, so they were able to televise it. And I know that in terms of from watching our matches, the way that they actually stream it, it's great. Like literally, the different camera angles, it looks really cool. But I want like more sponsors. I want this to be big because that way we will get to a point where we can eventually not have to work like regular jobs.
Yeah.
You know, like this could be our actual thing that we do day to day.
I think it starts with, if you're going to have a league, with leagues you're going to have home teams and away teams, and if you're going to have home teams, you're going to need fan supports from those communities and where you're playing. And I think whether you hire media experts to do that or whether the players literally get out there and say, hey, we're your home team, come through, come out, come cheer us on, come watch us play. There are certain volleyball personalities that'll attract that, starting with, of course, the volleyball enthusiast. And then you go from there. But I mean, if they want to show they're serious, they got to hire a media relations person that kind of knows what they're doing. And I think one part of that media relations people has to be volleyball people, and the other has to be just know what puts butts in seats. You know, because I mean, there are so many leagues that we know that fold or go bankrupt or whatever because they have people who are only involved in that sport that are I don't know, that are too close to the far too close to the woods to see the trees, you know. So I think not having volleyball people is a mistake, but having nothing but volleyball people is a mistake. I think
absolutely
both don't exist and succeed on their own. Bally's with the AVP, I think it's a great idea because Bally's is a freaking machine, and you know they're not going to list all the same people that may or may not have been the what have been holding back the AVP's progress. Maybe, you know, it's weird. I feel like I'm choosing my words carefully because I'm not trying to piss off the AVP, but I'm not. I'm just trying to be honest, you know, and at the same time, I'm not crapping on nobody. But such is the same for this indoor league, which I hope if they do combine, it's not like General Lee's Last Stand, but a combination of things that are gonna make men's volleyball grow.
Yeah.
Right. Think about it. It's for beach volleyball. It's a college sport. All of the clubs are triple. You don't see too many guys clubs, but when you watch the AVP, who do people come to watch? The majority. All right, you got the A team or whatever, but after that, and you got those chicks from LSU. They're on the podcast tomorrow, Nelson Close. But people come to watch the men's matches.
Oh, of course.
You know what gives?
They want to see that flair, that power, that you know, that tension, all that stuff. Like,
so it's there because those are what's packing the stadium, right? I mean, look, I love A team, but even female fans were more intrigued about trying Trevor against Patterson and Buttinger. You know what I'm saying? Well, Patterson's a walking advertisement. I think he should come to the court with a NASCAR suit on. I mean, that boy knows how to get his sponsors. But Greg, I would love to see you and this crew of people just make the league grow. And we can name names. I think Mikhail should get his ass back in shape. He's such a great player. He's one of the better medals and oppos in the country, Mikhail Hoyte. Elnis Palomino, you know, his wife always keeps him in shape. So these are just people from different regions that, like, Elnis is very much loved in the Carolina area and of course uptown. Mikhail, New Jersey, New York, these are guys, they don't even have to be the best player in the team. They put butts in seats. There are people that in New York that'll be like, Mikhail, if they have a league, I'll come to all of your home games. I'll support. What the hell am I going around picking these examples for? I got an example right here in this room. There are people that we know. Greg, we have friends that don't play volleyball, that don't watch the sport, that will come and watch you play. And that's where we need to. That's where the finish line needs to be. The starting line is the volleyball enthusiast. Indoor, outdoor, high school, club, college, some retired players. Get everybody out there. You know.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's what Randy and I did. Sorry, you were going to say something.
I was going to say, I definitely agree. I think that for the VLA, there's a lot of those teams that actually ended up playing against college teams just to, like, get that feel of, like, hey, here's a pro team that's been put together of guys who used to play professionally and ex-college players. Like, we're going to play against this team, and then that's how they're getting a little bit on the VLA side, that they're getting their footing. But the biggest thing is that I think that, like, for sure, like, it'll be nice, you know, for me as a person who my main source of income is coaching, you know, if I can get to a point where I'm on a team where, we get a salary to coach, or not coach, but to play, it'll only help me as my load as a coach. Like, I don't have to coach as many teams,
Right. Yeah.
or hey, I can coach, like I can focus on this one team, and it'll be a lot easier.
Yeah.
I think that, obviously, this, living in the South Bay, rent's not cheap. So I'm over here coaching like 3 different teams, between like within this last season alone for club, I was coaching 3 teams.
Yeah.
Right. And high school, high school didn't happen because of COVID, but we did have a short college season for CSUN. So, it'll definitely be a lot helpful for me. And obviously I love playing.
Yeah.
And I had the itch every single year. I always have a moment where I'm like, man, I could go back this one year and then just be done.
Nice.
Maybe.
Cool.
But then I'm like, but I really like living in the South Bay, and I don't want to have to go live somewhere for 8 months. So this is that feeling of like, hey, I get to have that, but I also get to stay local.
No doubt. And Greg was not bullshitting about the rent stuff. Like, all right, for me personally, I haven't rented in a decade. Like, and South Bay, New York. I moved from New York, the Upper West Side to South Bay. It's kind of the same thing.
No, yeah, same.
In fact,
same
even Queens, like Forest Hills. Dude, Forest Hills got so expensive, I moved to the city. Mm-hmm. I'm like, for all of this money I'm paying, why do I need to take a train across the bridge to get into the city to get to work or this or that? I'm like,
right.
I might as well just live on the city. So yeah, but yeah, guys, man, make sure you own as much as possible. Even though California really catches you hard for property tax, makes you wish you rented. I mean, God, yes. I wish I rent. I feel like I'm renting. I'm paying the same thing, but yeah. I like what you said, because I think that's going to generate sponsors, going to generate interest, because sponsors only want to sponsor sponsors only want to sponsor teams and leagues that they know people are watching, right?
Right.
I mean, Bitchin' Sauce from the AVP, I never knew about it until I went to the AVP event. Like, and that's, oh my God, it's so good. You dip your hummus and your pita bread in it. It's basically, I don't know if it's hummus. I think it's just chickpeas. It's called Bitchin' Sauce. The sand socks, like tough socks.
Yes.
The things you could actually fit your toes in. These are things where, like, Tough Socks ain't going to sponsor the AVP if no one's going to the event, right? But they know people going to the event. Boom, I'm going to get 4 pairs of those. Blah,
right.
blah, blah. In fact, I'm going to see it on TV. Last thing I wanted to cover, just for humorous purposes. The Quarantine 15, man. Greg, well, what did you do to stay busy when the world shut down? We're almost a year removed, a year into it. Were you video gaming out?
Well, so just to backtrack, so I remember that year I had 2 club teams and I was coaching college at the same time. And somewhere, what was it, maybe March or April, everything officially got shut down. Right, in 2020. So once that was done, aside from unemployment stuff, whatever, there was a moment where, like, literally we just couldn't do anything. Like, couldn't work out, couldn't even go to the beach because the beach was shut down. So outside of that, I mean, we were kind of congregating, somewhat illegally, because you're not supposed to be hanging out with people that are in the same household, but we're all hanging out, partying, and
quarantine,
and yes, and while we're doing that and we can't work out, you put on some pounds,
yes,
and I think for sure. I remember I hit the scale one time and I saw like 260-ish, maybe 265, and I was like, "What?
Yeah,
what?
That's called scared straight weight."
And I know for me, like when I was in college, like my playing weight was 230 muscle.
Yeah.
So like 265, I'm like, oh man, this is horrible. This is horrible. And eventually it got to a point where we were able to, like, the beaches opened up a little bit. So we were out there playing, but we weren't supposed to, but we were out there just bringing our own nets, taking it down. And eventually, the cops came by, nobody said anything. They literally didn't want to have to do anything with it.
Right.
So that helped in a way. Like I was able to play a ton of beach volleyball while we literally had nothing to do because we couldn't coach. And so that helped bring that down a little bit, for sure. But then I could tell while playing, I was like, oh, I can feel the difference. Because it's like, oh, I'm jumping.
Like your heart rate?
Yeah, like I'm jumping as hard as I can. And for some reason, now these guys are getting touches on the ball. And like, I'm like, oh, I'm usually trying to go over you.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, man, like I need to really get back into it. But yeah, it's really funny. Like, walking up a pair of stairs and, I'm like winded. I'm like, oh, geez, this is bad. This is real
dude,
bad.
This time I got to go work out, dude.
I got to work out.
Shit. Dude, for me, like my girl likes to use the gym, so that was bad for her. So what we did was we made our garage. Mm-hmm. We when we work out, we pull the cars out of the garage, and we have like the step you use for the coach's step. We use that for box jumping. Mm-hmm. We used so we created like 13 stations in the garage.
Right.
We call the military ring of fire. That section is mountain climbers. That section is burpees. That section's push-ups. So it's 1 minute for each station. Well, basically 50 seconds because you got to transfer from one station to the next.
10-second break.
So it's 13 stations. You go around the world 3 times. So it's a 39-minute workout. Mm-hmm. That has kept me in some kind of shape. And my girl is like jacked from it because she never did that many push-ups in her life. Me military push-ups, were my life. So it wasn't a machine that you got to use. It was all of your body weight.
Right.
Like the wall sit. Like I was doing jump reverses, but I had the duffel bag on my back, like a 40 pounds of clothes and this and that. So that's kept me kind of in shape. I don't think I'm ever going to be in playing shape anymore. I'm just retired. But like you said about the scale, I never get to a certain weight or past a certain weight where I feel like I've gone too far. But I have a history behind that. A lot of people don't know. For everyone listening, I used to weigh 265 pounds. Mm. I'm 6'1". All right. So Greg's talking about 260 or whatever. Try being 6'1". You're a little wider. You're barrel bodied. Mm-hmm. You can't. Your knees are dying from you trying to jump and move. So what happened was I got out of the military, blew up a little bit, but played. Got married, got divorced, blew up more. 265, 266. My coming to Jesus moment, and we're going to finish the podcast with this story, but I'm hoping this story will maybe inspire you to have a story to tell after this. And if you don't, you don't. My coming to Jesus moment, New York train station. I'm on a train. And you know how they have those little 2-seaters, like these little sections that fit 2? I'm sitting across from a guy, and he's basically one person, but he's sitting for 2. He's huge. And he has my hair. Like, look at my hair, my little blonde hair. Kind of kinky. So he looks like mulatto-ish like me. Get that little yellow complexion. Someone called me a yellow bastard on the train. It was crazy. I got called a yellow bastard. I felt like Bart Simpson. But I'm watching this guy eat McDonald's, right? And his stomach is so huge. He has chicken McNuggets, right? And he doesn't know. He's looking for a place where he could put it. But he can't put it next to him because he's too big. He's already taken over both seats. So he sees his stomach. And he sees the chicken McNuggets and just starts eating the chicken McNuggets off his stomach. So I'm seeing this guy eating chicken McNuggets off his stomach. And he's got my hair. He's got my eyes, too. A little bit of my eyes, whatever. And I said, that's me. That's me. Like, probably 5 months from now. That's me.
My God.
It was the craziest fucking scared straight moment that I've ever had. I couldn't, dude. I took on a trainer. Mm-hmm. The trainer was like, "What are you eating?" She didn't want to hear about the workout stuff because she knew I could work out. I was in the military, and I took a year, and I lost 60 pounds, and I got to like 200 even. I got as low as 186, but I kind of like 200. Right now I'm 210, but or 211. Fitbit watch I'm not wearing. But that was my scared straight moment, and this and that. But that's what. Oof, yeah. So when this quarantine thing happened, I got to a certain weight where I'm like, all right, that's too much. I'm headed that. In my mind, I feel like I'm headed that path. I wasn't, because I'm just eating a little bit healthier, not a lot bit. But that was my, ladies and gentlemen, that's your scared straight moment.
I would say I don't think I had a moment that was truly like that, but I know that I had situations where I was like, hey, like this is probably not that as great as I would hope. You know, just like I was saying before, I think that once that quarantine, like even though people, like we were in the quarantine, but then they were a little bit more lax with like, oh hey, you can go out to the beach and do all this stuff.
Yeah.
We immediately, as soon as we got the green light, we just started playing a lot more volleyball.
Yeah.
And that
is there a better socially distant sport?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Being out on the beach, you know, it helped so much. Like just because I'm constantly working all these different muscles, you know, and also by playing the sport that I like doing. So, you know, for those of you guys who don't know, like, I mean, you know, you guys see me out on the beach a lot, but like indoors, my true like love.
That's
like,
your wheelhouse.
That's my wheelhouse. I don't like playing doubles.
Yeah.
I like playing 4-man,
Yeah.
6-man, you know. So I play a lot of 4-man tournaments, and it's interesting for me too, because I started when I would go down to 21st Street or I go down to Nob Hill, I would just tell them like, hey, like, can I set? Because usually I'd be the hitter, right? And I would just say, hey, can I set? And my thinking behind it was, I'm gonna have to run to every single ball to set.
Yeah.
So I'm getting my cardio in.
Yep.
That way.
You're improving your hands too.
Yeah, and it's like I'm just getting more reps, you know? And I just started doing that. I knew that I can hit, but I was like, oh, I'd rather let somebody else do that, and, you know, I want to work on my cardio.
Yeah.
And so that's what helped me. And it got to a point where, like, I mean, I think that I'm still maybe around that range of 250 or whatever, but, like, it looks like I'm, you know, at least people are like, hey, have you been working out? And I'm like, I have not touched the weight. I've just been doing certain things that have given me that same effect, you know, so, but, yeah, and I think it definitely helped.
Yeah, you look good, man. And we got to play some doubles games together. It's absolutely fun playing behind like a real blocker, you know, and like you coming up to me and saying, look, Jay, for this guy, I'm just going to one block and you just land the cut, because that's the only place that he has an actual drop. Everything else has got to go up and down. And you should be able to, dude, it was fun. Dude, at the handful of times we got to play doubles together, I think we won almost every game except Greg Schenkel, Greg Schenkel's got everybody's number, man. I can't believe that guy's like my age and he's still so good, dude. He's so good, man.
He's good.
Schenkel, if you out there, man, we love you, dude. Wow. Dude, I thought, you know, the weird thing is, I get you on the podcast. I swear to God, I thought we'd be laughing more and joking around more, but we cover some serious topics here. So
absolutely.
So I guess next time we could maybe we'll have like a watch party, like a UFC watch party. We could do that. You, me, and Rob McLean.
Sounds good to me.
You know, you were episode number 1, so you and Rob. So that would be fun. I got some nice. I'm actually show the audience the little setup here, so we could definitely watch it on one of those things. They have a nice little watch party here. So Greg, before we eat some more food, because I mean, you had to hold me down, right? So before you go, is there an Instagram handle or like a website someone wants to get to know Mr. Faulkner better?
Yeah, on Instagram, gfaulk, GFAULK 17.
That's
and
it.
then, you can find me on there.
What about the website for the leagues?
It's just like the MVA. I think it's MVA.com or so.
Okay.
But on my Instagram, I put in my bio like the team that I play for, LA Blaze, and also just go on Instagram. You can go to NVA USA, and it'll show you all the different teams and stuff on there.
Nice. Dude, we got the AC on and there's still hot as volleyballs in here, man.
I know.
It's hot as volleyballs.
I wasn't going to say anything, but I could feel it.
Dude, you're starting to look like a Baptist minister the way you sweating. I don't know what you came to do, but I came to praise the Lord. All right, hey, for all of you at home, for all of you on your iPads and iPhones and Droids and desktops, this is Greg Faulkner. This is episode 104. I'm doing this really quick. We're going to hit my music really quick. I'm Jason DeBillius. Greg, Jason, we out. And let's play, maybe. Let's play. Come check out the Option Podcast on OptionDB.com. It's also available on iTunes and Spotify and on YouTube under the NY Varsity Sports handle. You're going to love what you hear.